Welcome to From Fearful to Fierce. Have you ever wondered what living your true, authentic life would be like, and doing so fearlessly, undeniably, and unapologetically? Is such a way of life even possible? Sarah Udoh-Grossfurthner says it is. From Fearful to Fierce is a podcast that shares simple, easy to implement tips on how to be authentically, unapologetically, undeniably, and fearlessly you. From Fearful to Fierce, the brainchild of Sarah Udoh-Grossfurthner, is based on her FFTF trilogy, a series on the importance of knowing, accepting, and loving oneself. So whether you're struggling with imposter syndrome, self-doubt, or just looking to level up your confidence game, this podcast has got you covered. Get ready to take on the world one fearless step at a time. We are your hosts,
Sarah Udoh-Grossfurthner
and Margaret Carter. And our topic today is facade. Sarah, what do you mean by facade?
Well, Margaret, facade is anything that covers. Mm-hmm. So when we speak about it in terms of a person, we are saying that either you're covered intentionally yourself, you're covering yourself, or something is covering you and preventing you from being seen.
Okay, but what would be some signs that someone is putting on a facade?
Okay, well, let me start with telling you a very short personal story of mine. Some years back, I had some personal situation that was causing me a lot of heartache. And I remember my doctor, my GP at that time, was always asking me, what's the problem? What is really bothering you? And I would just say, oh, no, nothing is bothering me. I'm fine. And he would look at me, listen, young woman, what is really the problem? And again, I would say, oh, no, nothing is the problem. I'm good. And I'm it's okay. Give me a little bit of medication to take away the pain. And then I will go home. And this went on for a while until one day, my kids were quite small at that time. I'd taken them to school. And then I came back. I said, let me just rest a bit before getting on with the usual day routine. And I remember just trying to get out of bed and I just could not. And everything in my body just froze. I couldn't. And I had this pain. I cannot even begin to describe it. I think I could only say that it felt like the pain of a woman giving birth. My entire body ached, my legs, my knees, everything. For 45 minutes, I wanted to call a doctor, but I couldn't even move from my bed. In fact, I got up from my bed, tried to, and then I just fell down. I couldn't move from there to just grab my phone just a few meters from me. And I remember just lying there and just weeping and saying, oh God, is this to be the end of me? And I started thinking of my kids. This thing I'm talking about was really quite bad. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, so if I die here, imagine my young kids walking in and then looking for mommy and coming to my bedroom. I'm seeing my body right there. And then I started praying at that time. I said, God, please let this not be the end of me. Even if I'm to go, no one lives forever. Let it not be that my kids will see me in such a situation. And I remember crawling from there and grabbing my phone. This thing I'm talking to you about, Margaret, landed me in the hospital for about 1 good week. And throughout that week here in Vienna, they searched and tested and did every single thing. And they could not find what was wrong with me.
Oh.
And so that, in a sense, was me putting up a facade. There was obviously something going on that was quite really, really bad, but I did not want to face it. And again, I didn't want to tell people that I was going through this. And I did not even want to tell my doctor that this was what was going on because I felt it was quite personal.
But you didn't want your children to find you like that, so you put up a facade,
exactly,
even for your children.
Exactly.
So why do people put up facades in situations?
In my own case, mm-hmm. Also maybe when you come from a society where It's always like, oh, don't tell people about your personal things. If they hear, they will laugh at you, they will mock you, all of that. And so you grow up just putting all of this inside your system. So in essence, people put on facades because they are afraid. They're afraid of being judged, being seen in maybe not so favorable light, or they're just afraid of letting people into their personal space. The bottom line, overall bottom line, is that people put on facade because they are afraid.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes just to feel the emptiness of lack of love.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is it even possible for people to be their authentic self these days?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing about facade. It's like being just behind a shield. Someone is hearing a voice, it could be the voice of anyone. In that case, that's not the real you, is not seen. It's only when you take away that covering or that shield that can one truly say, oh, that's Margaret. When we talk about facade, we are automatically talking about not being authentic. Like in my case, so a medical doctor is asking what's the problem. I'm telling him everything is okay, but meanwhile, everything is not okay. But he cannot even help me because I'm not giving him the real information that he needs, that he needed rather, in order to be able to help me. So I was not presenting my real authentic self.
Okay, so you've talked about some of the signs that people, you can tell that someone is putting on a facade, or that, why people would do this. What are some of the types of facades people use?
Actually, I think I didn't talk about the signs. I was telling my story in a sense. So, I mean, some of the signs could be self-isolating, for example. So, because the facade means that seeing the real me is seen, that real me will not be accepted. And so, in a way that I become a sort of recluse, I self-isolate. There's no one heart fits all. People will exhibit their signs of facade in different ways. Some people can be really, really talkative, could be also very, less talkative, meaning I don't want to be saying too much because I don't want to say something that someone might judge me by. In my case, at that time, I used to say a lot without actually saying anything. Say, if you ask me anything about myself, I will kind of maybe tell a kind of joke that would take the attention out of the real question that they're asking me. So not really giving a chance for you to go too much in depth into me.
So you redirect the attention.
I redirected the attention away from myself because I didn't want the real someone looking into my real self.
Okay. Are there any other signs maybe that, maybe somebody's being judgmental or aggressive?
Yes, of course. I think that, like I said, it's not a one heart fits all. Being aggressiveness can also be a sign of facade, putting on a facade. It depends on what kind of aggressiveness, in a sense, because you could be arrogant also. But I mean, when it comes to arrogance here, we have to be a little bit mindful here, because some people equate dignity with arrogance. So we are talking about dignity is that sense of courage. You know who you are, you know what your self-worth is, and then you carry yourself with that certain air of grace. But some people will look at that as arrogance. So when we are throwing out these terms, we have to be very careful. Dignity comes from a sense of self-worth. Arrogance comes from there not being enough, but then you're trying to show as if there really is what isn't. You understand?
No, I understand. Somebody's actually called me arrogant. So it's like, whoa.
Well, I think they were well wrong there.
Yeah. But why would it be a struggle for people to let go of their facades and reveal their true self to others?
A lot of people experience so many things in life.
But what about people who might have like an imposter syndrome and they're being told, fake it until you make it. And so you just keep on keeping on until like it becomes natural for you.
I don't see there's a saying that a leopard cannot
change
its spot. So the thing is that no matter how, when you talk about faking, you're immediately talking about inauthenticity. And we're talking about here how to become the best version of yourself. How can you become the best version of yourself if you're not authentic? The best version of yourself is your authentic you. So if you're saying fake it until you make it, you might fake it and make it, and I'm saying this in quotes, and then the whole world thinks, he has made it. But are you really happy? Because it starts with you and from you. However, where you fake it, if the aim is to make others happy, then have you really succeeded in making it?
But what if you're in a situation where you're being you're being forced out of your comfort zone? You have the capacity. You've not used that capacity, but you do have it. It is in you. It's maybe latent. You have latent talents that you have not used. And so you have to stretch yourself, get out of that comfort zone, and then basically almost fake it until it becomes more regular, more comfortable for you.
See, the thing is that when you fake something, it's going to affect you. Faking will affect, eventually. If you're in a certain situation and you're feeling that you have to fake it to be accepted, how long can you sustain that, Margaret? And we always hear the saying, life is too short to be this, life is too short to live this way. In the grand scheme of things, even if you live to be 100, it's still little. So are you really going to spend your entire life just faking that? And for what? If, we all say, okay, we want to be the best of ourselves. We want to impact the world. There's not a single person that you speak to today, Margaret, that would not say, I would like my life to count. We want our life to count for something. We want to make an impact, whether that impact be as, mundane as being a good mother. Of course, I don't call that mundane, but some people will think, okay, you're not a CEO of some company. Being a mother is just, okay, whatever,
It raises the next generation.
Exactly. It raises the next generation. But I'm just saying that whether it be as mundane as just, that you cannot give what you don't have, Margaret. Each of us, every one of us is a unique being. Whether you were evolved, you believe in evolution or creation, you were evolved here to be on earth for a reason. If you're created, you were created here for a reason. And the only way that you can accomplish the reason you were created to be here is to be the best you. There's no one that can be Margaret. There's something inside of Margaret that only Margaret can be. No matter how I fake it, how much I fake it, Margaret, I cannot be Margaret. So in a sense, when you fake it, you deny the world of the amazement of Margaret. Remember that when we talk about relationship, we are created to be in a relationship, to have that perfect harmony of relationship and community. You need to be you, I need to be me.
But what if being you is not accepted in the society where you live or where you are?
Well, Margaret, ultimately, see, even though we are created to be in a society, we are still created individually.
That is true.
Do you see? And so the bottom line is you need to look out, number one, first, before you can be the best for the society. So if I'm different and I'm not allowed to be me within the society that I was created to be, in which I'm part of, and then I strive to fit the mold of that society, I fit their mold. And they, of course, I give them what they want, but they want me to give them me. Do you understand? As I'm relating with you, I want to know the best of Margaret. But if I don't allow Margaret to be who Margaret is, how then can Margaret give me a real self? Because when you are you, Margaret, joy, happiness is contagious. Have you ever, you walk on the road and see somebody just smiling, and you cannot explain, you don't even know who the person is, some random stranger, and they are smiling or laughing with such joy, it stops you in your track. You start to kind of smile, and you're like, okay, why am I even smiling? I don't even know what they're laughing about, but you laugh. That's because something inside of them is bursting for something that's real. So if I am me, then I will be bubbling with joy. That joy will affect my surrounding, my community positively. And on the other side, if I am unhappy, I'm wearing a facade, but I'm appearing to be happy, but I'm not really happy. It's a spiritual thing. It's something in the air. And it will affect people around me. And if I affect them in the way that maybe I go out on the street and somebody does something that I would normally just like look at and just shrug and think, whatever. But I'm turning around and lashing out. And my joylessness and my aggressiveness will affect the very society that wants me to be the best of me, that wants to have the best of me.
But does society really want the best of you, or does society only want what they can use from you?
I think that's a good
That's a
one.
topic for another day.
That's a topic for another day. Because if you see that again, back to, I think we could go back and forth. It's almost like, egg and omelette. Do you want an omelette or do you want not to break the egg? I think that just essentially we human beings are selfish. We are selfish. Human beings are essentially selfish. People say, oftentimes when people say they want the best of you, they want what their own idea of what the best of you should be.
For them.
For them, not for you. If you have 10 people within your society or even within your immediate circle, each and every one of those 10 people will want one different version of you. We want a different version of you.
But that doesn't mean that it's a false version of you. It's just a different version.
No, but we are not talking about first version, but they will want the you that they feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't really want the best of you. They want the idea of the best of you. You owe it to yourself to say, okay, if you want the best of me, let me be me. Because that's the only way that I can give you my best. And if the best of me is not good enough for you, then, you have to look for another circle, or I have to look for another circle. Life is really too short not to be authentically you, unapologetically you.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of that line from that Jack Nicholson said in a movie, "You can't handle the truth." Yeah, a lot of people cannot handle the truth.
That's the thing.
They cannot handle the truth.
Exactly.
They can't handle the real me. And therefore, for the good of all, it's like, yes, I have to run around with this facade.
Exactly. So I used to say, even when I had that situation I was talking about now at the beginning, I used to think to myself, he wants to know what's going on in my life. If I were to just really open my mouth and tell him what the problem really was, would it be willing to listen? Because that's the thing. You ask people a lot, tell us what's really going on in your life. If I were to tell you, if I were to take off that mask, would you be willing to see the real person behind the mask?
Without judgment.
Without judgment, exactly.
Okay.
With and accepting them without judgment,
And that really just brings it all together so that today we've talked about, some of the signs that you can look at and see people that they will be putting on a facade, whether it's aggression or some type of, they're just isolating, or they might be redirecting the attention in another area, just to like show that way. And then it's like, this could be for a variety of different reasons, to gain acceptance, maybe avoid a judgment, or feel loved, feel accepted,
exactly.
Or to protect themselves or, other people around them because of fear of not being accepted, fear of not being protected, or the acceptance of, being yourself. And so there is a lot of social pressure, and there's a variety of different ways of people, showing these facades and putting on the facade. So it's a really difficult thing for people to do. It is not easy. Now, we've talked a lot about, facades and types of facades, but what are some tips for removing the mask that people wear and becoming your true self?
I think for me, it always comes back to yourself. You need to take like personal inventory of yourself. And it means looking at yourself, looking at your values, understanding what really matters to you, one, and trying to, respect what matters to you. Because You need to respect enough to say, these are my values. I will stick to your values. And the next one is building your own tribe. For me, building tribe is very, very important, because when we talk about tribe here, we are talking about not just anybody in your circle, but people who really have your back, people who understand where you're going and are willing to support you. A good support system is very essential to taking off a facade. People who will look at you, will listen to you without judging you, who will accept you for just who you are. We are talking about the reason why most people will wear facade is because they're afraid of being judged. So when we talk about tribe here, we're talking about people who will not judge, who will listen to you without judging you, and people who accept you. And he said, don't be afraid to speak your truth. The bottom line is, what's the worst that can happen? I speak my truth, you don't like it. What are you going to do? Kill me? No. When you speak the truth, Margaret, what happens? You feel so free. You walk away feeling as if you've said your piece, but of course, always in love. You speak the truth, what matters to you. Oftentimes, your truth will not be accepted, but it's okay. Take record of all the things that tend to make you feel unhappy, that would derail you. And then also record what makes you feel good. Cling to that. Record what makes you feel bad and remove yourself from those things.
Wow. Thanks, Sarah. And with that, we come to the end of today's episode on Facade. We hope you've enjoyed your time with us. Once again, this is From Fearful to Fierce, the roadmap to becoming the best version of yourself. From Sarah.
Thank you very much for listening to us, and we hope that you tune in next time.
And myself, Margaret Carter, signing off, and see you next time.